Welcome to Uncloaked Illusions. I'm Chris Anthony. I know it's been a few days since I've uploaded any videos, but I'm kind of dealing with asthma and the weather's constant shifting in New Orleans. And if you've been to New Orleans visiting wise or you live here, you understand. Getting into it, this is going to be more of a rant about one of my managers departing today. Was his last day at work. And he and I had a brief little conversation about his perspective and his experience. And I was sort of pointing out that I had a great deal of subject matter from the idiocracy that occurs at work on a daily basis. And, a conversation sparked up where he was pointing out his analysis of how a young man came in, hadn't been there more than a year, and had already been asked to take a manager's position. Now, mind you, this particular person, I'll leave nameless, but he is from California. So he already has that work ethic and that high drive to succeed. And he was just basically making a statement on how no management wanted to ask any employee that had been there for years, would they be interested in taking the position, because they didn't feel like any of them were worthy of the position. And I've written a couple of points down. The manager, again, he expressed one of the newer employees was offered a manager's position opposed from crew members who had been there for years, which was an indication of the lack of belief that anyone else was worthy of the position. And mind you, this particular person is a hard worker. I've actually worked at 2 jobs with him, and pretty decent to work with. Hopefully he doesn't fall into that particular realm where he's trying to placate to these buffoons for the most part in order to feel accepted, because he is young. So ultimately, peer pressure is a MFer. And moving on, the restaurant, mind you, it's the point that I wrote. The restaurant is predominantly black employed, and there is absolutely, mind you, there is absolutely no cooperation, no order, but only chaos. Literally, I believe Saturday we had a buyout, and 2 of the employees were about to fight. And a gentleman that also was just employed, he's from, I believe, Liberia. And he was just flabbergasted by the fact that all the employees standing around were agitators. They were instigating the situation, and they were actually they were trying to irritate the 2 people so that they would ultimately get into a physical confrontation. And he was just taken to the back. He was, I suppose he had never experienced anything like that. And being that he, is coming to this particular business to work and make a nice amount of money, he believed, at least being that it's a group of black people, that the commitment to get along with each other and hold each other up and build each other up would literally be a skyrocketing factor. But he learned in that moment that it was the complete antithesis, which, in my opinion, he should have learned at the moment he walked through the door and realized that these particular young people can't even hold a conversation with each other without having a barrage of broken dialect. Hilarious. It's just hilarious. Needless to say, I noticed the reaction, and I was sort of moved by his reaction, because my perspective was, damn, they can't get along in any setting. This is ridiculous. I mean, we all work together and we see each other every day. This young man that was being assaulted verbally by one of the other co-workers, this young man doesn't say anything to anyone. He's just courteous. He speaks. He goes about his business and he tries not to get in anyone's way. So you knew who was the agitator or the aggressor in the situation. Needless to say, we seemingly only subject each other to further and continuous debasement. That is something that seems to metastasize, and it's very lucrative at a particular job like this. Again, I'm looking at the outlet of everything, and I'm trying to process it and filter it accordingly. But we all work together. We're all black men and women, yet we can't even get along. We have to debase each other. We have to use these trinkets in order to get over on each other. It just seems like black people, for the most part, and mind you, I'm only addressing black people because I'm black. I'm not trying to address white people because that's something they should deal with. I'm not trying to address Asians or Latinos because that's their own communities that they need to address and deal with. And I even maintain that there's really no black community. It's just a community of bastards, basically, and baby mamas with their drama and men who just refuse to grow up and accept any accountability or responsibility for any of their actions. Instead, they placate to this supposed systematic white supremacy means of why they cannot do anything more with themselves just because white supremacy basically makes them kill each other off. White supremacy creates jealousy between two black men or two black women or two black couples. White supremacy is the reason why you refuse to go and educate yourself or pick up a book, and instead you protest the opposite of that. You literally tear your fellow black person down if they want to improve on an academic level. You know, if they're not playing football or throwing some pigskin damn ball or bouncing a ball or running track or appearing in some damn rap video where they're rapping about a whole barrage of, in my opinion, what sounds like nursery rhymes by a retarded fucking person, then they're not black enough. They're not accepted. You know, you might even be called a sellout, a coon. Again, I love it when they use terminology that they have absolutely no clue of the etymology or the origins of that particular word or what it really means. They just go along because they think it's socially accepted in that particular group. Again, a great deal of fucking lemmings in the black community because they all follow each other. But it's nothing wrong with following a person that can lead you to a better place. And we, as a people, have a tendency to get behind the amoral, lack of standards, and morally fucking bankrupt and honorably bankrupt people. You can't make this shit up. Hollywood can't make this shit up. I cannot literally have a legitimate and rationally based conversation with most of them without them either being protectionist or apologists for the nature of their behavior. How is one a protectionist or even an apologist for abnormal behavior is beyond me. It's very Orwellian. It's almost like you're turning everything upside down. It's even with the double speak where you say one thing, but then you mean the complete opposite of that. A great deal of literary writers kind of predicted and foreseen a great deal of how society would ultimately turn out. And that's as a whole. But being that black people are worse off today than they were 60, 70 years ago. That says a lot because 60 or 70 years ago, racism actually was something that was an issue. So what's the excuse now? I've had some of them admit to the depravity or the depraved actions produced, but then walk away with a nonchalant attitude, can't do anything about it. You're acknowledging that your actions, for the most part, they're not normal. But then to say or to just literally accept that you cannot do anything about it, but you can acknowledge it, it's almost like an oxymoron. You're admitting there's a problem, but then you're saying in totality you don't want to do anything about it because it's deemed normal for you. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So conversations, of course, are futile unless one wants to entertain themselves. I don't think there's nothing more you can get out of coming to a job and experiencing or witnessing people high at work, people taking 5-minute breaks to intensify that high, people in the restrooms assembling a joint. Most walk around in a zombie-like state. And this is all going to the normalization of abnormal goddamn behavior. They come to work, they're high as shit. A great deal of them come with their pants is sagging behind their ass. They're not clean. They don't seem to take any pride in their appearance or how they groom themselves. You have the women that come to work with 20 different fucking hairs, but their own hair color and their own hair. It's a lot. Believe me, it is a lot. They have absolutely no respect for not only themselves, but for the job. I can become very agitated with the way management runs things for the most part, because again, common sense is not really that common. And you do wonder how a great deal of them had even got positions that they received, but I digress. But management is starting to become alarmed by this because they realize, damn, it just seems like we went to some nearby damn project and gave people jobs and we didn't care whether they were qualified or not. I digress. Endless, this is what I find to be very, not only hypocritical, but hilarious in a sad way, in a very sad and egregious way. Endless, when I say endless attempts to justify their amoral lack of standards and hollowed out honor. I've never seen anything that seems like it comes out of the Twilight Zone quite like this. When you are trying to justify walking around high, I'm not saying marijuana is a drug that can be a gateway to any other drugs, but it's a gateway to failure, in my opinion, because most people that I know that smoke more marijuana than they actually can stand, they're quite frankly, in lack of terms, they're fucking losers. They don't have anything else going on. They don't have any ambition. They don't want to do anything but play video games, get high, maybe eat, and maybe have sex. Nothing else. This is the generation. This is the millennial generation and all it has to offer. We're fucked in the future. That's all I'll say. And it's unfortunate that I'm a part of that generation. So hopefully myself and others that are enlightened in some manner can start a movement and maybe bring people out of this particular zombie-like state. So I come to the conclusion of I understand exactly why black people can never forge an economy for themselves. They literally they're happy. As one would say, ignorance is bliss. They are blissfully happy that they're ignorant. And they don't see any hope or change, and they don't even want to address the issue. They don't even want to change it or alter it even for the next generation. So what that means is the next generation that these brain dead morons are producing, they're going to be brain dead morons as well, and probably worse off. Black people, you're your own worst enemy. You're your own greatest oppressor. Yourself, pretty much. Give me a little feedback on it. I mean, I may get a lot of shit for this because it seems like every time anyone touches the black community and the sheer dysfunctionality that is dwelling within it, that is the black community, they get a lot of slack. Because one thing I've learned about people in general, but especially black people, they don't like the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They just would rather you continue or perpetuate the lie. Like, subscribe to the channel. The subscriptions are growing. Share the video. Please share the video. Let's get this information circulating, because maybe if you can piss enough people off to get them thinking about it enough to the point where they want to do something about it, even if it's something as simple as debating over it, then we need to get these things to happen. Again, I have a blog talk radio station that's going to be coming about. Things are just getting pushed back because of certain issues that are transpiring. And I do have a report coming for the Syrian situation, for the trade wars. And personally, I think, China holds the ball in its corner. I don't think there's anything that the United States can do to wane that away. It's only gonna, drag itself further and further into a battle that it just cannot win. And this playing chicken with Russia, it's getting out of hand. Trump, he announces that he wants to remove the troops from Syria, which again, I maintain we are violating international law, because we were not invited into this sovereign country. We were not invited there. Russia was, Iran was, China was. We weren't. So we're breaking or violating international law anyways. We shouldn't be there. Well, the moment he decides to retract the troops from out of Syria, all of a sudden another chemical attack happens. Yeah, because Assad just wants to keep the U.S. military there, so he just decides to bomb his own people yet again with chemicals. Some things you just can't make it stick and make it seem truthful. I'm Chris Anthony, and I am out.